Here is how I got to 181 grams of protein every day without needing meat or protein shakes. Now, I'm one of those rare people in the West who's always been a vegetarian. I've been a vegetarian since the beginning of The Simpsons, and even when Madonna brought out the single Like a Prayer. Basically, a long time before it's cool. In the later 80s and in the 90s, it was not easy being a vegetarian. I was always made fun of it at school, and I've probably been asked by at least 100 people, how do I get protein? During most of my life, I've struggled to put on weight, especially muscle, and I've been generally a quite lean build most of my life. However, back in 2021, when I started to look a bit like this, I decided enough was enough. A small but very important part of that journey was really learning how to get enough protein in as a vegetarian. These days, I'm the heaviest I've ever been. I'm hitting personal bests in the gym, running Spartan races, despite being in my late 30s. And all of this is without any steroids or TRT. Now, I tried a lot of the dumb stuff at first, so I tried having 4 protein shakes every single day. I tried GOMAD, which is basically having a gallon of milk every day. These did work to get protein in, but I felt like shit, so it wasn't really sustainable. So in this video, I'm just going to share with you what I found was sustainable. So here are all the items that I'm using. So we have cottage cheese, eggs, protein cheese, which I'll tell you more about later, mozzarella, it's high protein mozzarella, Greek yogurt, particularly high protein versions, egg whites, fully optional, lentil pasta, and milk. Some quick disclaimers. How much protein you need depends on how much you weigh. I weigh about 83 kilograms, which is about 183 pounds. Keep in mind, most of my life before eating like this, I was about 150 pounds. Now, ideal amount of protein for muscle growth is around 1.6 to 2.2 grams of protein per kilogram. So for me, that is about 133 to 183 grams per day. For you, it might be different. The key thing is, in this video, you might just get a few ideas that will make your life a little bit easier. Secondly, just because a diet works for me doesn't mean it's going to be best for you. We all have different tastes and genetics, and I will be going into more of the nuances around genetics, and I'll also be covering the area of protein quality. Not all protein is equal. At the end of this video, I'll cover this, so hold your comments until then, please. If there's just one thing I would teach my younger self about protein, it's to win in the morning. If you can get a good amount in the morning, it really sets you up nicely for the rest of the day. What works really well for me is having cottage cheese. Typically a 200 gram pack will have around 20 to 25 grams of protein. This one is 25 in particular. On top of this, a high protein yogurt. This one has 18 grams of protein for only 150 grams weight. Now, if you don't like eating cottage cheese on its own, you can add salt and pepper, or you can add some olive oil to make it easier for you to consume. For the yogurt, you can get flavored protein yogurts as well. They can do the job, but just they're not as healthy. They typically have a lot more sugar and additives in that you typically want to avoid if you can. After all of that puts us at 43 grams of protein and about 340 calories consumed within the first hour of the day. And all pretty healthy, I might add. Now, if you skip to lunch, I will nearly every day have 5 eggs. Now, some of you might be thinking that's not healthy, but it was debunked many years ago now that eggs do not directly increase cholesterol. 5 eggs a day is not a problem, but if you really don't want to have 5 eggs a day, if you're doubtful, what you can do is use egg whites instead and just have 1 to 2 eggs. The main issue with egg whites is it's not as tasty. That's it. They're also an extremely great form of protein. A common meal for me is scrambled eggs with rice and beans or protein bread. I would normally add one of these protein cheeses. This one in particular is 32% protein. That's 32 grams per 100 grams. Now, in the US, it's normally known as Limburger cheese, and in Europe, normally as Romadur cheese. The protein content varies, but typically it will be in a range from 25 to 35%. It's quite smelly, so it's not for everyone, but I personally really like it. It's also really good when it's melted on pizza or toast or on pasta. So overall, 5 eggs, that's about 31 grams of protein and very high quality protein at that. And the protein cheese, 32 grams, and for the rice and beans or the protein bread, we're typically looking at around 18 grams for that. So this puts us at 81 grams for this meal, and that's 124 grams of protein already for the day. Now, the fantastic news is now, even if you eat a low calorie meal, or you're just going to eat some junk food, you're still going to likely be above the minimum amount of protein you need for that day. Now for dinner, what I'll often have is protein pasta. This is pasta made from lentils, and for the record, I love Italian food. I know it very well. I've lived in Italy, I've had an Italian partner in the past, and this pasta isn't bad, but it does depend on the brand that you get, like with all pasta. And for me, it's tasty, and you just don't seem to get bloated afterwards like with normal pasta. So one portion of this is about 14 grams of protein. I'll typically cook some sauce with some garlic and some onions and add some nutritional yeast. Now this stuff is fantastic. It's around 50% protein. It's high in a lot of key vitamins and goes with a lot of different meals. So you can just add it on top like cheese, basically, or use it in a sauce to thicken it up. A good portion of this can be about 12 grams of protein. Now next I'll add some protein mozzarella. This is about 23 grams, and I must say it's really tasty. Add all these together, including the sauce, you're looking at about 51 grams of protein. Now, one thing to keep in mind during the day is I will typically have quite a few cups of tea or coffee, and I'll be having protein milk with that. So that'll bring us probably up to overall for the day, 181 grams of protein and around 2,158 calories, which for most people who are active means you can either lose weight or you can have more snacks or bigger portions. You don't have to eat this every day. Instead of scrambled eggs, you could have an omelette, for example. You can cut down on some of the cheeses and have 1 or 2 protein shakes instead. If you prefer, you can have protein pizza bases, or you can do whatever you like in most cases. If you can have a high protein breakfast every day and have 5 eggs, or the equivalent in egg whites, you have a lot of space to screw up the rest of the day, which, if I'm totally honest, often I do. But if you get the morning right and the lunch right, you're gonna hit your targets. Now, I promise some more nuance in this video. So I know people get super upset when it comes to food. They're like, oh my God, like you must do carnivore, or you have to be vegan, or it's too high in lactose, it's too high in gluten. So just calm down, okay? We're all different. You need to find out what works for you. There is no perfect diet. Humans have literally been living all over the world on totally different diets based on local food for thousands and thousands of years. There are probably hundreds of optimal diets for each person. So here are a few things I would consider. So first of all, not all protein is the same. You might not like to hear this, but animal protein generally is better than plant protein. It has more nutrients, it's got more chains of amino acids. So for pure bodybuilding, being vegetarian is not optimal. But if you're like me and you don't want to eat meat, eggs and whey protein are your best friends. Both are very high quality proteins, so if you can fit both of them into your daily meals, you're helping yourself out big time. Now, the other key thing to know is that genetics matter. So here are some of my DNA results. I've shared a few on the screen, so I have a very good set of DNA for protein. This effectively means I can metabolize very large amounts of protein without much issue. If you have poor DNA for this, it might mean that you have to have more regular meals instead of eating just 3 times a day. So you might have to eat 5 or 6 times a day, for example. Other things in my DNA, I'm quite tolerant of gluten and lactose. So if you struggle with these, then you probably can't eat all the cheese that I do. Next, I do have some issues with vitamin B. I have a poor response to sugar and saturated fats. So I might have to eat a lot cleaner than you do to feel good. So in short, if someone is lecturing you on diet and they don't mention or know anything about DNA and how it works, I don't recommend listening to them. So the key rules overall is it has to work for you. So what I shared in this video, I can do every day with a smile on my face. I look forward to having my yogurt. I look forward to having cottage cheese in the morning. I love it, okay? I really love eggs in particular. I feel good when I eat this stuff. If you don't feel good, probably you need to find something that does make you feel good. Howdy, it's Matt from the future here. So I wanted to add something I didn't mention in this video, and that is what some of you might be asking is, why is there no fake meat in the food I'm eating? So vegan burgers, Beyond Beef, Impossible Burgers, all this sort of stuff, it's very popular now. So there's a few reasons why I don't eat this stuff. So first of all, a lot of them do contain soya. Now, soya, there's a few issues with soya. One is it is heavily estrogenic. Now, estrogen is quite a complex topic, but effectively it could, in theory, reduce my testosterone. I have quite high testosterone. I've got 780 nanogram per deciliter, so that puts me probably in top 1% for my age group without TRT or any trickery, and I want to keep it that way. And a lot of, I just don't want to risk it with soy. Soy's got, especially when it's mass produced, so you've got processed soy, it can have very high levels of estrogenics. If you don't know about this, ask ChatGPT, read the book called Estrogeneration, do your own research. But for me, I want to avoid nearly all soya, basically. I'll have soya in small quantities, ideally when it's fermented, not when it's mass produced, it's been put into stuff like this. So that's one big reason I do not eat fake meat. The second reason is just generally it's mass-produced food. And as a general rule of thumb, mass-produced food normally is not good. It's going through a lot of processes, a lot of added ingredients, a lot of crap in there that you have no idea where it's come from. A lot of people have been handling it, a lot of ways that contaminants can get in there. Why do that if I don't need it? So I try and keep my meals as simple as possible, and I feel that's best for my health, for my protein intake, and I feel pretty good that way. So do I recommend eating vegan meat, fake meat? No, but you may do so if you wish. These can have pretty decent amounts of protein in, but there's a specific reason why I do not eat it. So I hope that helps you out there, and if you want to debate with me in the comments, please do. Give me some attention. Ciao. I would hope you can at least steal some of the ideas I've given in this video and that is shared. And a few quick comments I might add is that you might notice a lot of the products I have are protein versions of the product. Some could argue this is a bit of a rip-off. So an example, this is 25 grams of protein. If you buy normal cottage cheese, it'll be about 22. And this is way more expensive. So you can save yourself a lot of money by just getting the normal products in most cases. But for me, I don't mind paying a bit more to have more protein, but just keep in mind for protein milk, protein yogurt, all these things which have protein on them, you can probably find the exact same product and it'll hardly have any difference in the protein and it'll just be a lot cheaper. So that's a little tip I'll share. And overall, if any of these things help you to get more protein, which might help you build up more muscle, more size, more confident, be feeling better in yourself and just hit some of your goals, then that's all that counts. So I hope it helps some of you out there, and much love.